name is Kim Lau, and this show is called Hawaii Rising. The show is focused on people helping people develop the economy as well as the community, because that's the only way we'll be able to create a sustainable future for Hawaii. So today, let's talk about STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math. Personally, I'm a huge STEM advocate. My educational and career experience is in science, technology, and engineering. Before returning to Hawaii, I was an engineer with the Boeing Company. The last 4 years of my career was spent in Asia, working with major suppliers such as Mitsubishi, Kawasaki, and Fuji. My last program was the 787, the Dreamliner, where we developed cutting-edge composite technologies, programs, equipment, and processes. So you can understand my apprehension in coming home to Hawaii, because there's no comparable jobs and definitely no comparable salaries. But why would anybody else outside of these fields be interested in STEM? Well, it's been cited that STEM helps professions that builds communities and transforms nations. They shape everyday experiences, and they're cited to be the future for our children. An editorial in Media Planet Canada agrees by saying that STEM hands children a foundation from which they can prepare for future opportunities. But they go further, and let me read their exact quote. They say that STEM alone, without an entrepreneurial mindset and the understanding of how to apply the innovative process to science knowledge, will shortchange our country's capacity to fully reach its social and economic potential. To truly accelerate our competitiveness in a sustainable way, we need to cultivate a generation of scientists and engineers who are business savvy, who possess entrepreneurial instinct and insight, who can understand and apply the innovative process. So as you can see, STEM and entrepreneurship go hand in hand to create a sustainable future. So now let's take a look at the numbers for Honolulu. Wallet Hub did a recent report citing 2016 STEM job market in Honolulu, with number 1 being the best, 50 average, and 100 the worst. Honolulu was cited as the worst. They got ranked 100th for cost of living adjusted annual median wage for STEM workers. They were also ranked 100th for housing affordability and 79th for projected number of STEM jobs needed in 2020. However, on the plus side, Honolulu was rated 39th in STEM employment growth. Susan Yamada from the Pacific Asian Center for Entrepreneurship at University of Hawaii, Manoa, believes that Hawaii is lacking critical mass and resources. And in order to address this problem, we need to build a better workforce. So today I'd like to welcome Susan Yamada to our show. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Kim.
Again, this is Susan Yamada from PACE. That's the Pacific
Asian Center for Entrepreneurship. Yeah, we're located in the Shidler College at the University of Hawaii at Manoa.
And exactly what is PACE?
So PACE, we have pretty broad mission, and what we intend to do is help students and faculty who are interested in starting businesses, as you know, entrepreneurship is known for. But more broadly, what we're trying to do is teach as many students as we can before they graduate how to think entrepreneurially, because we're in a new age now and change happens so quickly. It's enabled by technology, the internet. I can't think of one single business or industry that hasn't been affected by technology. And so as a way to prepare the 21st century workforce, we really need them to be able to think entrepreneurially. And basically it's looking at things creatively, what types of things can be done differently. They need to have critical thinking skills, they need to be collaborative, and they need to be good communicators. So we try through our 20+ programs to get students to be more entrepreneurial in the way they're thinking.
So we're seeing that just focusing on their college education, say whatever field or major that they have chosen,
right,
is not enough.
I don't think it's enough. I mean, I think colleges historically have done a great job of teaching in a vertical. You're an engineer or you're an English major, but when you go out into the workforce, very rarely are you just put into one, only working with engineers. You might be an engineer working with marketing people, production people, and you need to know how to work collaboratively with different sorts of disciplines.
And you can speak this from experience because you are not from a technical background, correct?
That's correct.
So your background was originally in the hotel industry.
Right, I graduated from UH with a degree in travel industry management.
And so that's kind of leading towards the story is how you became an accidental entrepreneur.
Right. So I graduated from UH thinking I'm never going to leave Hawaii, and so what better career to get into than travel industry.
Right.
So I did that and spent about 2.5 years on Maui, opening the Marriott on Maui and Kaanapali, and had an opportunity to get promoted and move. And way back in the day, that was the only Marriott in the state. So if you wanted to move up, you had to move out. And it's kind of like the military where you're moving around every couple years. So I had the opportunity to move either to Santa Clara or Torrance, I believe. And so Santa Clara looked like it was closer to the beach. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to Santa Clara. And ended up in what is known as Silicon Valley, right at the time where the PC was taking off and
Good
well
timing.
before the internet. I know, I like to say that I'm a genius and I knew exactly what I was doing, but it was more opportunistic, I guess.
And exactly how did you spend your time in Silicon Valley?
So a couple years I was working at the Marriott in Santa Clara, and I think this is why I think it's great for local kids to get away, because you see a much bigger world. And technology was driving that whole valley really. And so I realized that having a degree in travel industry was going to really help me. So I went back, I went and I got my master's degree from San Jose State. And I got into the technology industry after that. I was an industry analyst, kind of moved around a lot, and then had an opportunity about, I'd say, 3 or 4 years out of business school to run a failing magazine. And they
Why
only
would
had,
you do that?
it was one of those things where, okay, it was time to change job. I have a very short attention span. It's like, I stay in jobs maybe like 18 to 24 months, and then I need a new challenge. And it was about that time, and I've always wanted to see if I could run my own company. And nobody's going to let a first-time entrepreneur run a really successful, thriving, business. So your first opportunity is probably going to be really high risk, probably low reward. And so, I looked at this magazine, and we had maybe like 6 months of cash flow remaining. And so the challenge was turn this company around in 6 months or you're out of business. So I just felt I had nothing to lose really, because nobody really expected it to be successful. So went in, and I think it was in the 7th month we kind of turned the corner, but we were able to get more money because we were clearly on a path to profitability. So did that for about 5 years, and just kind of discovered that I just love working in a startup environment. The interesting thing was when the company got to be about 25 people, I didn't like it anymore. It's another management style.
Right.
It's not so much a startup in my mind. In my mind, I like, here's the business plan, Susan, go start the company. And everybody's super focused because you never have enough time, money, resources. And then once you start getting traction and kind of figuring out what your model is, it's great fun. But once you start kind of having to grow and you need bureaucracy and rules and
Right.
many more people, it's a different management skill. And it's not something that I enjoyed. So that's why I keep changing and finding new opportunities.
But with every new opportunity, you were able to learn
Definitely.
new skills.
Yeah. And when young people I used to hire them, I used to tell them, I can't guarantee you that this job is going to be around for 6 months or a year, but the one thing I can guarantee you is that you're going to leave with more skills than what you came in with. And nobody's going to take that away from you, and you can
Right.
use that to leverage to your next job.
So are young people nowadays okay with that? Are they more so with less job security, but more like personal growth, perhaps?
That's an interesting question, and I don't know if I can answer that one way or another. There are, you know, students that are willing to take more of a risk. They want to be entrepreneurs, and then there are others, you know, who want something that's more stable and not so risky. So I think it just kind of depends on the aptitude of the student and what their risk tolerance is, I guess.
So you spent a good amount of time in Silicon Valley, about 17 years?
Yeah, 17 years, yeah, exactly.
And then what drove you to return home?
It was time. I mean, I was only going to go away for 2 years, and it turned into 17, so not very good at math. But, you know, it was just time. I always wanted to come back. You know, California was never my home, and, you know, even thinking about, well, what if I end up dying there? It was like totally depressing to me. So I always was on this 5-year plan to get back. But during the time I was gone, and this was like pre-2000, it was the 80s and 90s, there was so much going on in Silicon Valley, and basically Hawaii was kind of in this depressed state, right. Economically. And in Silicon Valley, you know, the PC boom had just started. You know, Apple came out with their Mac, and then obviously the internet, you know, in the late 90s just was phenomenal. I mean, it was like the second gold rush in Silicon Valley. It was so darn exciting. I don't think there was probably a more exciting place in the world at that point for a young person who wanted to start their career. So I ended up staying longer than I needed to, or that I wanted to, I should say. And then in 2000, my dad passed away. And it was pretty unexpected. And, you know, it was just like a reality check for me that, you know, he's always waiting for us to come back. And I had two young kids at that point, kind of like where your kids are right now. And, you know, he wanted us to move back, and we never, you know, did. Just, it's never a good time to uproot and move. But my daughter was going to be starting in kindergarten, and it's like, okay, now we got to do it.
Just got to do it, yeah. Because, you know, our previous guest said that people don't choose to come home for the job or for the salary. You know, people choose to come home either for family or the lifestyle.
Right.
Which is not beneficial for our sustainability here.
Yeah, you know, I think it can be. You know, if people are, for me anyway, you know, I was able to build my skill set in Silicon Valley and then come back. I mean, I should preface that by saying, you know, I don't know how to say this, but I really didn't have to come back to work.
Yeah, because you did just fine.
Exactly.
You didn't have to work at all.
So I didn't have that part to worry about, like, you know, what job am I going to get, how much money am I going to make, how I'm going to support my family. I didn't have to worry about that, and that's, you know, I was very fortunate that was the case, and I know that it's a very practical reality for a lot of families wanting to move back. But, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to come back as my daughter was starting kindergarten was because I wanted her to have the same sort of upbringing that I did. And, you know, I still hang out with my friends from elementary school, and we get together, you know, a couple times a year, and we laugh about the same old stupid things we did, like, you know, 40 years ago. And you can't buy that.
Us too, right? That's the same sentiment that we had. We wanted our children to have the same upbringing and the same values that we did. Because, you know, on the mainland, your friends aren't aunties, and you can't just go home with so-and-so's parents, and they're going to treat you to dinner and take care of you the same way that, you know, your auntie really would, right?
Right, exactly.
It's not the same kind of relations.
Not at all. And in fact, you know, in California, especially at the dot-com boom, is very transient. There's so many people coming into Silicon Valley to take advantage of all the jobs and the opportunity. And it's just a very transient place to live. And it doesn't have that same level of, you know, your reputation is, you know, if you say you're going to do something, you don't do it, well, who cares? I mean, here, if you say you're going to do something, you don't do it, you're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the way it should be. You know, you want to build character in your kids and responsibility and respect. And, you know, no matter where they go in the world, that's fine as long as their roots are here and their culture and their belief and value system is based off what we believe in.
Definitely. And I think that that's great values that we're teaching our children here. So we're going to take a short break right now, but when we get back, I'd like to find out why you chose to go to PACE when you actually didn't have to.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Aloha, I'm Keli'i Akina with the Grassroots Institute of Hawaii, and one of our delights is to be partnered with Think Tech Hawaii and produce programs every week. Every Monday at 2 o'clock, we have a show called E Hana Kako, which means let's work together. So we bring people from all across the nation and the country, and certainly throughout the islands, together here to talk with them about how to work together, and how to work together to do the following: to build a better economy, a better government, a better society. So if you're interested in the research of our think tank, the Grassroots Institute, or if you're interested in how that's applied at the governmental and community and business levels, you'll enjoy the fascinating conversations with our guests on E Hana Kako every week on Think Tech Hawaii at 2 o'clock on Mondays. Until our next show, I'll see you. Aloha.
Hi, welcome back to Think Tech Hawaii. My name is Kim Lau, and this show is called Hawaii Rising. We're here today with our guest, Susan Yamada, from the Pacific Asian Center for Entrepreneurship at UH Manoa. Welcome back, Susan.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks so much for being here. So we were just talking about how you did really well in Silicon Valley, but you chose to come home for family reasons like we were discussing, which is why a lot of people choose to come home, which is amazing. You know, the values and things that we have here as part of Hawaii. But you didn't have to go back to work. So why did you choose to go to UH Manoa and join PACE?
So when I came back in 2001, and you know, I was involved in a number of nonprofits, some for-profit boards, and I was involved with PACE also, the Entrepreneurship Center at UH, and I was a judge of the business plan competition. I donated money, and you know, I really believe that was an important program. On the flip side, on the investment side, I became an angel investor and helped start Hawaii Angels, which is high net worth individuals who can invest in startup companies, high risk startups. And so we had a new dean at that point, Vance Rowley, and he came to talk to me, I think it was in 2007, the end of 2007, and he had tremendous success with an entrepreneurship center at the University of Washington, where he is from.
That's where I went.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's a great
Huskies.
school, yeah. And so he wanted to do the same thing at the Shidler College, and he'd just gotten the big gift from Jay, and Jay, you know, had earmarked some funds for that. He and Jay had earmarked some funds, and so he wanted to hire a director. And so he came to me and said, you know, are you interested in this? And so it's a funny story because I said no. I mean, it's like, I don't want to work full time. You know, I have 2 little kids, and you know, I want to go on field trips, and you know, I've got other obligations. So so he went, and he said okay, and then he came back, I don't know, a few months later and said, okay, well, what would it take to have you come back? And so so we kind of figured it out, and you know, I'm not there full time, and it gave me a really nice balance to be able to, you know, be with my kids and watch them grow up and still contribute. So that was in 2008 when I started.
So you actually started the PACE here?
No, PACE was already in existence since I think 2000. Barry and Virginia Weinman gave a generous donation to create the center. So they had, you know, I'd say a handful of programs that they were doing every single year. And when I came in, basically, I looked to see what other university entrepreneurship centers were doing. I just copied as much as I possibly could. And
yeah, why reinvent the wheel, right?
No, seriously, you know, that's what everybody thinks is like, wow, I've got to do something unique. And you know, you don't have to. You put your own spin on it. But you know, everybody has a mentoring program, a speaker series. It's like, okay, well, how do we make it ours, right?
Yeah.
And address the issues that our students have. So right now, I'd say we probably have like about 25 different programs that we run every year, which keeps us super busy.
Can you highlight some of those programs?
Sure.
And maybe some of the benefits that university students receive from those programs?
Right. So, I mean, we categorize our programs learning by doing and learning from others. So learning by doing, we have things like microloan programs, pitch competitions. Our business plan competition is kind of our signature event, and that's a semester long. We're right in the middle of it right now, where the teams go through multiple vetting process. And it culminates in late April with a competition where 3 or 4 teams actually present in front of judges. And the first place prize is $10,000 plus services, which I think are really important, you know, like accounting services, legal services, PR marketing services for those companies.
So they can initiate their conception.
Right, so they can actually move forward
Right.
and try and get professional guidance on that. The learning by doing, we have lecture series, whether, you know, it's a big, you know, somebody like Pierre Omidyar or Steve Case that might attract 500 or 600 people, to smaller ones where we just had Erin from Chakalea. She started Chakalea from Manoa. She was out. And just smaller, you know, Kenny Zamora, the fashion guy, the designer, he came out, and we had a lot of people from the fashion design school come and listen to his story. So, you know, coaches, mentors, you know, we try and hook teams up.
That's fantastic. So, do they, when they go through PACE, do they receive some kind of certification or?
No, you know, all of our programs are completely voluntary. You know, they're not doing it for credit. They're doing it because that's something that they want to learn. So we're not a class. So basically what my feeling is when you're in the university, you have this limited time to say, I'm a student, can I talk to you? And we really encourage students to get out of the building and go and start to talk to people who can influence their businesses and get some feedback on their ideas and do it quickly. And if it works out, great, you know, proceed on. But what a lot of them find is that there are these holes with their business ideas. And so either they're going to switch direction to accommodate this new information and increase the likelihood of success, or it's not, they're going to be wasting time and money by pursuing something that has a very small chance of success.
Which is both very useful.
Definitely.
Either path is very useful.
And you know, it's like what I was talking about before when employees would come and work for me. The most important thing, you know, that we're doing is we're an educational institution. And so I want them to learn how you do that. Because they say that most successful entrepreneurs, they're about 35 years old. And there's good reason for that. It's because you have work experience, you have life experience, you have a network, you have skills, a professional skill set. And so you'll find something that really is a problem that needs to be solved. And you'll have a network that you can tap into, you'll have industry credibility. And we're just wanting to get them ready and teaching them earlier than perhaps they'll have the chance to.
So that they can actually get towards that point
Exactly.
eventually.
And try smaller things, you know, undertake projects of change, and you know, maybe at some point, you know, they see a big profitable opportunity that they can pursue.
So about how many students go through PACE, maybe on a yearly basis?
Yeah, on
or?
a yearly basis, we probably touch about 1,000 students with all of our programs. So it really depends on what program it is and how many people show up. You know, in our monthly speaker series, maybe we get, you know, 50 to 75 students attending. You know, the one I mentioned before, our big Kipapa Ikeala lecture series, we might have 500-600 people.
And for the students, are these events and programs free of charge?
Yeah, definitely.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, you know, that's where, you know, it's almost like, you know, again, you have such a short period of time. You know, I really encourage them to take advantage of this, because once you graduate, you know, there are no resources. They're going to find that the number of resources that are available to them are very limited. And you ask students who graduate, you know, what they should have done differently if they wanted a career in entrepreneurship, and almost all of them say, I should have been more involved. I should have taken advantage of every single opportunity.
And so, university students out there,
yeah,
you know,
come on down.
Yeah, take advantage of all the opportunities that you have while you're in college.
Right.
And, you know, you'll never get this chance.
Yeah, it's very
ever
hard.
again, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And the university has such a wealth of knowledge and experience in these areas.
And there, you know, we get a lot of support from the business community, and the business community wants to help students. And so that's what you have to take advantage of, in my mind.
And it's very hard once you enter the workforce to go out there and find a professional mentor.
Right.
I think, you know.
Right. The number of opportunities you have is definitely fewer.
Right. So that's an amazing service that you provide to university students. So why do you think that's important to do this for the students? You know, like the university probably doesn't have to.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we're talking before the program, and we're talking about everybody trying to do something to kind of improve the community and improve our state and our community. And you know, I just think that it's something that I gained knowledge, you know, being fortunate enough to be in Silicon Valley, and coming back, you know, there's no shortage of smart, you know, people and ideas. What they don't have a lot of is experience.
Right.
And so I just thought, you know, if I can try and help, you know, aspiring entrepreneurs and the UH community try and move that needle, you know, and get some education going, then I should try and do that. And, you know, so again, I thought it was just going to be like a 2-year deal, and it ended up being 8 years, right? It's like the longest job I've ever had in my life. But, you know, I find it fun. You know, I work with great students, and they're very motivated, and they're excited. They've got a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and I love to try and help them to, you know, figure out what it is that they're trying to do. And they're great. I just have a great time. So, you know, it's like if you give, you get back. And so it's a matter of just putting yourself out there and trying to contribute and do as much as you can.
And there's like actually a purpose behind what you're doing. There's like a greater purpose than going to work every day and doing the usual drudge or whatnot, you know?
I feel fortunate, you know, that I have that opportunity to, what I would hope will be able to move, you know, students and get them closer to their entrepreneurial aspirations, as well as trying to help the broader community, the Hawaiian community, and our economy, and trying to get more businesses started. You know, you mentioned some of the STEM statistics, and, you know, we all have to be moving in concert. You know, the STEM curriculum has to be coming and developing. We have to be able to get students who are interested in that. We also have to get, you know, companies who are creating jobs for that community. And so a lot of that has to do with startup jobs, because if you do look at the research, a lot of the jobs that are being created are from startups. You know, the old big elephant companies, they're losing jobs, and it's the startups that are really creating jobs.
Do you think that maybe startups or these kind of new organizations with perhaps more agile mindsets, do you think that they're focusing on more so on the triple bottom line than just pure profits? So I guess when I say triple bottom line, we're talking about profits, people, and the planet. So people being the community, as well as the planet being like environmental issues, in addition to just trying to make money. And people say that, you know, by focusing on the triple bottom line, then that's what actually creates sustainability.
You know, there are very few that I see that are looking at a triple bottom line. I think they're just trying to look for a black bottom line at this point. I mean, most of the ideas are so new. You know, I think more than ever, the student body that is at the university right now, they have a very, very, very strong social conscience. When I was at the university, nobody was thinking about the environment or polar bears or, you know,
like
global
the
warming.
Native Hawaiian community or things
Yeah,
like that, right?
I mean, you know, if you got your MBA, you wanted to go to Wall Street, you wanted to be a consultant.
Make money,
yeah, make money as quickly as you can. But that's not what drives this generation. And I think it's very encouraging, being that I think we did a great job of ruining a lot of things. Somebody's got to kind of, you know, take the other side of the pendulum and try and make it better. So they have a great social conscience, and you know, a lot of their ideas have to do with, you know, how can I improve literacy or financial literacy, or, you know, how can I, you know, have a more sustainable water bottle, for example, or water source, so we don't keep throwing away plastic bottles. So from that perspective, I think a lot of the ideas are incorporating some of the social issues, triple bottom line issues, as you're saying, as a way to try and make the world a better place. But I think they're doing it because they see a market there, as well as doing good, you know, for the environment.
But I guess that's all part of the entrepreneurship that you're trying to teach them.
Exactly, because as I tell everybody, once your money is gone, it's game over. Was a good experience.
Yeah.
So that the objective is to not run out of money.
Right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back and talk about what drives students nowadays as well as yourself.
Okay.
So again, this is Kim Lau, and our program is called Hawaii Rising. We're on every 2 weeks on Think Tech Hawaii. We'll take a
Aloha, my name is Carl Campagna. I'm the host of Think Tech Hawaii's Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. You can see our show every Wednesday at noon at 12 p.m. on thinktechhawaii.com, as well as visiting YouTube and finding the link for the show there. The show is also aired on OC16. We look forward to seeing you on the show. We have many wonderful guests, including Joan Husted, Corey Rosenlee, where we talk about the very important issues of education for our keiki. We look forward to seeing you there. Mahalo.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on Think Tech Hawaii. I hope that you will tune in and watch the show. It is inspiring and uplifting and educational also. We talk with artists of all different ilk. We talk with them about what they do, how they do it, and most importantly, most dear to my heart, why they do it. And it never ceases to be fascinating when you get the answer to that question. I hope you'll join us on Center Stage, 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoons. Aloha.
Hi, and welcome back to Think Tech Hawaii. My name is Kim Lau, and this program is called Hawaii Rising. We're here today with our guest, Susan Yamada, from the PACE Pacific Asian Center for Entrepreneurship at the UH Manoa. Thank you, Susan, for being here.
Thank you, Kim.
We were just talking about what drives students nowadays, and it's great to know that students nowadays are very focused on the big picture. Maybe perhaps, like you were saying, they're scared of the whole doomsday, sort of global warming, maybe the earth is going to end soon, sort of thing. So that's what's driving them to think big. But that's good. It's better to think big picture.
I think if you look at college students, there's always historically something that drives a certain era, right? Whether it's Vietnam, whether it's, now it's Bernie Sanders and, his effort to get out the young students and get them voting for him. So I do think, sustainability, the bigger picture, the kind of the global problems that we have, it heartens me that they're looking at trying to create solutions to those problems instead of just saying, well, woe is us and see what you guys did and blame us and nothing gets done about it. So I think technology is enabling a lot of new ways of thinking, and because of that, there are new solutions. And I think they're in the perfect position actually to use those solutions to create new companies.
Like we were talking about earlier, a lot of people sit around and complain a lot. Complain about the public school system, or they complain about the government or whatnot, but or the global warming, but they don't actually go out there and do something about it. How do you, get people to think about what they can do instead of just complain about it and then act upon that also?
Yeah, I think, and especially in Hawaii, or maybe we're not unique, but there's they coined the phrase the silent majority and the vocal minority. And I think if you look at some controversial issues in Hawaii, just in the past couple years, whether it's the 30-meter telescope, whether it's GMOs, the vocal minority gets their point out. And I think it's really time for the majority to make their voices heard. And not just say, well, it'll all work out, right? Whether you are pro or con as far as rail is concerned, you had ample opportunity to speak out. HECO, another opportunity to speak out. And we have to become more participatory as far as those kinds of issues are concerned. Otherwise, a very small number of people are going to drive the agenda.
Right, which is kind of what they've been doing lately.
Yes.
And that's affecting jobs.
And, the media loves that too, right? And there have to be ways to counter that.
So how do we get people motivated or to stand up or have a voice?
You know, I think you got to find your passion and what issue drives you. And, you know, so if you're really passionate about something, but all you're doing is going and talking to your friends, has a very limited reach.
Right.
You know, I would just encourage people to then, you know, take it to the next step. You know, write a letter to your legislator, show up at a hearing, you know, do something, because our inaction is going to affect future generations. It's going to affect your children, your children's children. And there's, you know, some good reason why Hawaii is one of the worst places to do business. And some of it is in our control. You know, some of it is not. We're in the middle of the Pacific. We've got to bring in a lot of stuff.
Limited resources.
Right.
Yeah.
We, you know, we can't do anything about that. So let's try and change things that we can, because, you know, obviously we can't change everything.
So, how do you suggest people find their purpose or their passion? Like,
Yeah.
I think you are very passionate about certain things, and that shows because the work that you do at PACE, the work that you do with the students, and then also you are involved with a lot of community affiliations and organizations as well.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's an interesting question, and you know, it was just as recently as a few years ago, I heard Roxanne Quimby speak, and she was one of the co-founders of Burt's Bees, that whole product line. And she said, I believe that everybody has a gift. And so literally, I must have spent 6 months going, what is my gift? What is my gift? What is my gift? You know, am I doing it right now? Am I not? Is it something else? And, you know, I kind of came to the realization that what I was doing is using my gift. And whether that's a culmination of all the experiences that I've had in the past, but if it's something that you feel passionate about and can get a rise out of you, you know, that's probably what you should be doing, because you care about it. It's hard to be passionate about something you don't care about, obviously.
Right.
Other people see through it. You know, it's not enough to make you, compel you to action. So I think it's a matter of really kind of finding, is it education? Is it, you know, young children? Is it domestic abuse? You know, homelessness? You know, pick something and try to make a difference in that area. Because the thing that you're going to find, you know, people go, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time. But, you know, I just interviewed Walter Dodds, and he's a big advocate for employees of the bank going out and
Right.
working not in the nonprofit sector on boards and volunteering and things like that. And, you know, his perspective, which I totally agree with, is that, you know, you can't go out and do that because you think it's good for your career, but it will be good for your career.
Right.
Because the more you give of yourself and you give unselfishly, the more it comes back to you. You know, I don't know if you believe in karma and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, good deeds are rewarded, but you can't be expecting to be rewarded
Right.
when you go out and do your good deeds. So, you know, I really believe it helps you build your network, you meet like-minded individuals, and again, you know, it's just waiting for good things to happen, actually. I mean, when I came back to Hawaii, I mean, my business network is non-existent. You know, I graduated from UH, you know, I worked 2 years on Maui, and then I spent 17 years in Silicon Valley. It's like I had no business network. And, you know, through PACE, I'm able to build this phenomenal network of like-minded individuals. And fortunate at this point that entrepreneurship, commercialization, innovation is really a hot topic now on
Right.
Bishop Street, at the university. And so there's so many people I have the opportunity to interact with now.
But when you do any of these activities, whether it be for your job or for giving back to the community, you know, I think that people can tell that if you're fake about it, they can see right through that.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's transparent, right? It's. Are you just trying to do something and get out
To
as
get
quickly
something
as you
back from it,
can?
yeah.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
doing it, picking the easiest job out there, or are you really, you know, willing to dive in and do the dirty work? And you know, I tell students that all these nonprofits, they're looking for able-bodied young people. And they're not going to, you know, have you come in and say, oh, here, take this big project. You have to prove that you can do that.
Right.
So expect to do, lift the cases of water initially, and then
And that's the same in the workforce. You can't come in as a greenback or whatnot
Exactly.
and expect to be CEO.
exactly.
So I guess that also on the other side, it teaches students, the job ethics, and you have to start from somewhere and work
Right.
your way up. You can't just
Totally.
have expectations, unreasonable expectations.
Yeah, and you got to start from the bottom. I mean, everybody wants to start from the middle and have this great job and then just get up to the top within 5 years, but that's not reality. I think, you have to get in there, you have to pay your dues, and I think that makes you a better manager or boss because you've been there. You realize how difficult that is. You realize, nobody can say, well, I can't do that, I have no time. It's like, no, you can, I've done that, and you do have time.
Right.
And I think that's what helps you get respect in your job is by having worked up from the bottom all the way up. I'm just very sad there's no cannery here anymore because let me tell you, that was a great incentive to go to school.
My mom worked there too. That's where she started. But I guess our time's up, and I want to thank you very much for being here today,
Sure,
Susan.
my pleasure.
Thank you so much. So I'd like to conclude that today we talked about STEM and entrepreneurship and the tie between STEM and entrepreneurship because they go hand in hand towards creating a sustainable future. And like Susan was saying, young people nowadays are very motivated and very willing to go out there, start from the bottom, work to the top, and do anything that we can, to get out there and do a good job. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure, Kim.
And thank you for watching. This is Think Tech Hawaii, and this program is called Hawaii Rising. I'm Kim Lau. Thank you.